Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA podcast. I'm your host, André Natera. On today's episode, we're going to talk about kitchen rust, aka ring rust. Stay tuned. Before we get started, let me tell you how you can support the show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. That helps out a lot. If you're listening on Spotify, of course, always leave 5 stars. There's a support the show button where you could donate. Donations are appreciated. And of course, you could always go to chefspsa.com. I recognize it's not a something for nothing. So the best way to support is to allow me to give to you. Go get the books, Culinary Leadership Fundamentals. That's for new sous chefs, new executive chefs. It's going to go over the basics of what it's like to run a kitchen. Bad Sous, Good Chef is the book that I wrote. It's a fictional narrative conversation between a sous chef and an executive chef, going back and forth on all his fears and anxieties and a lot of the questions that we all have when we're new in leadership positions. Kitchen Art of War, it's a translation of Sun Tzu's Art of War and how it applies to the culinary world. It's a direct translation. So if you like that style of Eastern philosophy writing, then I think you'd like Kitchen Art of War. But if you don't like reading that style, it's probably not the book for you. It is, I like to say, it's advanced reading and it's advanced thinking. Line Cook Survival Manual. For line cooks, every cook in your kitchen should have one. It should be like hanging on the clipboard. It should be the culinary manual when the manual doesn't exist. And then companion to that is How Not to Be the Biggest Idiot in the Kitchen. They're all short reads. And then I have some free ebooks, Food Cost Mastery, 100 Basic Recipes, Critical Path to Opening Up a Restaurant, and a free culinary dictionary. Hey, sometimes you're new to the industry and you don't know these words and you're too afraid to ask. So all these books are designed to give you a shortcut to help you become more successful faster. That's what you could do to support. Today's episode, ring rust, or AKA kitchen rust, depending on, I guess I could have said that either way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. For those of you that may or may not know, if you've been paying attention, I've recently come out of my retirement for a brief period. I'm doing what's called a chef in residence through mid-November. This is 2023 when you're listening. And I'm doing it at Tilly's Restaurant at Camp Lucy in Dripping Springs, Texas. For those of you that may not know, I am retired as a chef. I was a chef for 27 years. I decided to step away and focus full-time on mentoring, coaching, and the Chef's PSA. Creating the memes, writing the books, doing the podcast. This is my full-time job. But as you know, if you listen to the show, I have a lot of opinions. I talk a lot of crap. Someone messaged me the other day and said, can you still back it up? Got in my head a little bit, I'm not going to lie, because I was thinking, can I still back it up? I'm giving a lot of advice. I have a lot of opinions on what the right thing to do is. I'm looking at every situation and saying, this is all you got to do to turn it around. Work hard, discipline, focus, all the things that I talk about daily on Chef's PSA. But can I still walk the talk? It was something that I talked about in an earlier episode where if I had to go back in the kitchen, how difficult would it be? I had said it wouldn't be that difficult. I would do some research. I would look at the latest trends, plating trends, ingredient trends. I would update my style a little bit and I would jump right back in. And I didn't think it would be a problem. I still know how to cook, pots, pans, etc. Still know how to use a knife. I didn't think it would be that difficult. And here we are. So a friend of mine reached out to me. She runs Dish and Dame, so you should go follow that Instagram account. And she was looking for an executive chef and asked me if I would be interested in potentially doing a chef in residence program there. Through mid-November, so 2 months, go in, write the menu, reconcept it, work with the team, get to cook with them. And around the same time, I'm also contemplating if I still got it. So it's like the timing was impeccable, in time, on time, all the time. And I thought, this is a great opportunity for me to get back in and see if I could do it. So I had a few days to get in, work with the team, write the recipes, write the menu, train them, and then go live with the menu. And I could tell you that I feel pretty good about the menu. Now, granted, I'm going to write a menu based on the team that I have, the location, the environment, the type of restaurant. So a lot of the food that I'm doing is going to be what I think fits that area. It's not an Italian restaurant or it's not an Asian restaurant. Otherwise, I'd write menus tailored to those specific types of cuisines. It's not a tasting menu only restaurant. Otherwise, I would write a menu specific to that. This is an upscale, modern American restaurant in the country, in the hill country, therefore. I wrote a menu similar to that. So in writing the menu, I had to sit down, and I'll tell you what, it was really fun because I haven't written a menu in quite some time outside of consulting, but usually it's for those things. But this is a menu of my personality on a plate. So I often talk about the creativity when it comes to writing menus. What I did is I put on my headphones, started sipping my green tea, started chewing my nicotine gum, listening to 40 Hz brainwaves on the headphones, and just got into a creative zone and started writing. A lot of the menu that I wrote is the greatest hits of my career. So go back 27 years when I was a chef, and a lot of dishes that meant something to me. So those are the dishes that I put on. Every single dish on the menu has a story behind it as to why it's on the menu or as to why it's important to me that it went on the menu. I've modified the plating a little bit. I've updated it to 2023 standards. There's a lot of different cooking techniques on there, everything from using alginates, but no foams and bubbles. But yes, there are some alginates. I lied. There's actually a cheese foam on some gnocchi. So I did use some melting salts, sodium citrate, and hexametaphosphate. There's a lot of precision cooking. So a lot of the vegetables that we're doing are cooked under vacuum. And there's also classic techniques involved as well, making stock, sauces. A lot of the repertoire that I had as a chef coming up was in those classic kitchens. So you're going to see a lot of that classic technique. But I get into the kitchen day one, menus written, recipes are written, and then it's trained the staff. Now, keep in mind, 5 days to launch. And it's basically, imagine relaunching a restaurant, right? Opening a restaurant in 5 days. New team, at least none of them have ever worked with me. And they're great, by the way. Fantastic cooks and chefs. And if you're in the area and you want to come check it out and eat, you should do so. But we get in, we discuss the menu, and we start rolling it out. Now, I love the idea of rapid prototyping. This is something that Steve Jobs kind of made famous. That's why they constantly release Apple updates. There's update 1, update 1.1, update 1.1.2, and so on and so forth. And that's how I operate in a kitchen. It's get better every single day. Constantly push, evolve. At the end of the night, we meet, we discuss what went wrong, what we could do better, and we constantly tweak. We don't have a bad service. We have a service that we could learn from. And it's a lot of this stuff that I'm teaching the culinary team there while I'm working with them. I like to say I'm getting them chefs PSA certified, cut the tape straight, fold the towels. A lot of that they were already doing, but all the things that I see that I talk about on Chef's PSA, I'm trying to teach them as well. They're very receptive to it and things are moving along really quick. So I don't think that from a culinary standpoint, I'm very far off in the ring rust. Granted, in 5 days, I feel like I'm right back in the game, but that's not where I was rusty. Where I was rusty was physically, and I felt that right away. I've made Chef's PSA posts that the last thing to go for a chef is their palate, but the first thing to go is their back or their knees or their feet. And all the years of being a chef, I could tell you that I don't have the best back, knees, and feet. People that know me in real life say I walk funny because I have some back problems. My back constantly pops, my knees pop, my ankles pop. Everything's a little bit rickety there. And so doing what I do with Chef's PSA, a lot of it is working in front of a computer. And even though I exercise every day, I'm not standing on my feet for 10 to 12 hours a day. And so that was really the first thing that I felt when it came to rust. Day one, I came home, took a shower, everything hurt. My back was hurting, my feet were throbbing, my knees were hurting. I put some sports cream on the bottom of my feet to alleviate the pain. Day two was more of the same, still a little bit sore. But by day three, I could tell you I knocked off the rust. I was hustling in the kitchen. I was moving fast. And it was like I was a young chef all over again, right? 12 hours a day in the kitchen, in the grind, and having fun. I'm not going to lie. I had a lot of fun working with this team and creating and cooking and being with them. Some of the cooks would joke around with me and say, "You still got it, chef. Ignore the haters." But I could tell you, I definitely felt it. When it came to the first couple of days off was, I slept a lot later, was a little bit achy, but not as much. I was definitely energized, in my day-to-day. The hustle was there a lot more doing with the Chef's PSA stuff because now I had to do everything that I do for Chef's PSA in a much shorter period of time. I have to do that in my off hours when I'm not working in the kitchen. So for those of you that have been trying to get a hold of me, I'm a little slow to respond because I'm working in the kitchen right now. But as far as rust goes, I think week one was a success. I felt like I was right back in it. And I had touched a little bit on this on the most recent podcast right before this one. And I talked about how when you're enjoying what you do, the long days don't seem long. And when you enjoy being around the people that you're with, you don't really feel as burned out. For me, the commute to and from the restaurant's about an hour. So during that hour, I'm making phone calls, I'm talking to people, I have my phone out. I'm not driving and texting, but I am making notes. I'm talking to my phone, leaving notes, things that I could discuss when I get there. Like I said, Everything that I do while I'm there is 1% better every day. I know the idea of that is gradual improvements every single day. And that's kind of what I'm preaching when I get there, is like, how do we constantly tweak the menu, make the food a little bit better, make the kitchen a little bit more seamless? And one of the things I talk about as a leader, when people work under me as a leader, I try not to overwhelm them with so much early on. And by the way, this first week was overwhelming for everybody because it was a brand new style, but I try not to overwhelm them more than they need to be overwhelmed, because when you overwhelm a team, it doesn't stick. And so a lot of people say we have, standard of the day, and that's okay, but I like the standard until it's right. I don't want to hit them over the head with 20 new standards in one day. Let's just go with one. Let's focus on making sure everyone does this correctly. And if everyone does that correctly, great, then we're better. And the next day, something new. Let's make sure everyone does that correctly. And if we miss a day and we slide a little bit, then let's go back to that thing. Because if it doesn't stick, it's not a standard. So when you're implementing standards, you need to make sure that they stick. And that's why I recommend introducing them slowly. When it sticks, introduce the next one. Because you do have constant drift on the standard and you constantly have to recalibrate things to make sure that the kitchen's getting back in order. I would say my chef brain turned on pretty quick. Like I said, the first couple of days it was a little rusty, like 2 left feet, but within 3 days I felt like I had never left. It felt good. It helped me feel good in case I ever want to go back, but probably not, at least right now. I do enjoy what I'm doing with Chef's PSA. A lot of the great restaurants have, kind of a rallying cry or war cry that they use for the team. I could think of like 11 Madison Park, make it nice. The French Laundries, it's all about finesse. Where I used to work, we'd say awake and ready or always ahead. So I wanted to make sure I had something for the new team where I was at. We brainstormed a couple. We ended up with something called quality overall. And that became the measuring stick to which everything else is going to be measured on. Quality overall. And then what's the direction of the food? Simple, technical, beautiful, delicious. So everything that we put on the menu needs to meet those guidelines. And whenever we're unsure of something, we always go back to that side and say, quality overall. Is it quality? If it's not, then it doesn't get served, or it doesn't get put on the menu, or it doesn't get discussed. Quality is the measuring stick, which everything's going to be measured on. But I think it's important that a kitchen has a mantra. I made a beautiful sign, put it up on the wall. It's really nice, but it's a constant reminder. And I told them that if the sign gets dirty, that's a bad sign. The sign has to stay immaculate. It can't come down. It has to stay up there. Now we're going into week 2 and week 3. Service is getting better. We're getting more efficient. The new menu doesn't seem as difficult anymore. And so now we're looking at the items that we're doing, and we could ratchet it up a little bit, make it a little bit more difficult, introduce a little bit more finesse, refine the recipes a little bit, and get better and better every single day. So what's the point of all this? The point of all of this is a lot of you are going to take over restaurants. You're going to be the new chef. Or maybe you've been out of the game for a little bit and you want to get back in. First and foremost, I could tell you that it's like riding a bike. You might be rusty for a few days, but when you jump back in, all the skills come back pretty quick. But you should have a strategic plan when you go in. Make sure you're making a menu that everyone on the team could execute, and that you're constantly looking at the dishes and discussing with the team how it could be improved. It's important to get buy-in from everybody. What I find interesting is that my time as a chef and my time here now, like I've changed my perspective a little bit. I would say I'm not as intense as I used to be. When I was a younger chef, I was a little bit more intense. I think with time and wisdom, I'm able to navigate the storm a little bit better, a little bit more calm. Bad situations are going to get thrown at you, and I'm able to ride the wave and flow like water, like Bruce Lee said. And having been on both sides, I recognize that being calm and focused and not losing your cool in the kitchen is so much better than the opposite. Anyway, we digress. I don't even know what I was talking about. Build your team up, create the standard, don't implement too much, and get a little bit better and better every day in every single way possible. Stay calm, wipe your cutting board, look up, see what's going on, and go forward. Anyway, if you want to support the show, you know what to do. As we talked about, make sure you leave 5 stars, nothing less than 5 stars. Go to chefspsa.com. You can get all the books there, merch. It's going to be hoodie weather. I have a lot of hoodies for sale at the Chef's PSA store. Thank you all very much. See you next week. Hit the porno music.